listening to the Community Link Crew on GFM 96.6.
Time to catch up now with one of our guests, two of our guests, Eileen and Sarah. Okay. Hello, welcome back. Your monthly slot, isn't it?
Yes, it's a month since we were here.
Yeah, okay. So you're both here to talk to us about... I just got another text. We'll read that shortly. Yeah, but you're both here to talk to us about the sale of cheap alcohol and vodka and obviously impacts of that. So do you want to go ahead?
Yeah,
it's all yours.
Yeah, it's really just to sort of warn people, I suppose, that sometimes when something looks too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. And one of the things I'm thinking of in particular is things like cheap vodka. Aside from, you mentioned earlier on when you were talking about it, that there's possibly lost duty. If it's fake vodka or whatever, then there could be duty that's not being paid, which can actually be quite a lot. I think it's about £300 million a year we think we lose. But
it's about £300 million a year, and you start to think what they could do with schools and all that kind of thing. Supporting community radio stations for £300 million a year. It's a lot of money to be losing, but it's not just what we're losing, it's what it costs by people being poisoned by it, really.
When you buy spirits and you buy them from your high street sort of shops and they're from the brands that you know and that you're familiar with, you sort of know, although some people would say, well, alcohol's not good for you anyway, you know what's in there, it's gone through a good sort of process in as much as it's what you're buying is what you think you're buying, and it's been produced in clean and hygienic conditions, but that's not necessarily the case with counterfeit.
That's right. When you're buying, your big branded stuff, you've probably seen at times over the years on the television the factories with the nice shining stainless steel and the bottling machines going round, whizzing round. But think about somebody with old plastic buckets and a funnel that they used for the chip oil or something, and perhaps they haven't got quite enough this vodka mix to put in, so they top it up with tap water as well, and that kind of thing can
worse.
happen. Yeah, or worse. Well, I was being kind. People are eating their tea.
Where the poison comes in.
I was going to say, people are eating their tea, aren't they? So, but you've got absolutely no guarantee as to what's gone into that bottle. If it's an illegal still, there's nobody checking. You don't even know that the alcohol content is what it says it is. It might be weak. It might be even stronger, which is, quite dangerous if you think you've had one small measure and you're going to operate machinery or drive or something. It can be quite dangerous. It's inconsistent.
Okay, because I've gotten into supermarkets as well, and I've seen some brands on the shelves, and at the back of my mind I knew about this going on anyway, but some of the brands on the shelves, I'm assuming they've passed the test and they've reached the shelf, but they don't have look dodgy.
There are lots of brands, and obviously we know a lot of the branded brands and the most well-known ones, and there are also sort of own labels, and there are lots of perfectly legitimate lesser-known brands, but there are things to look out for that are probably, if you were looking at a bottle of vodka that somebody was offering to sell you, especially maybe if it wasn't from a reputable source, where you might think, is this too good to be true? The first is probably the price.
Yeah, if they're offering you a bottle of vodka, a 70 centilitre bottle, for about £7.34 or less, that's enough to be suspicious, because that's how much the duty is.
Right.
So if it's less than £7.34, they're giving you something less than it's costing them. That's suspicious. If it was a bottle of whiskey, actually, £7.82 in the duty for a 40% proof bottle of whiskey. So the price is the first marker that you'd be suspicious of. What about the label? Is it if it's a counterfeit one, perhaps they're trying to copy a design from a famous brand, and so they've misprinted it, misspelt it, or maybe the label's not actually on the bottle straight because somebody's put it on by hand instead of the machine. Perhaps you can't see the manufacturer's name and address. Can you see the postcode, or is it a bit creased? Those are also sort of good signs that it's a dud, that it's not for real.
Also, if it's something like vodka as well, you might want to look and see how clear it is, because if it's been distilled, then you'd expect, it's like you look at your vodka and it's clear all the way through.
Because it's pure, isn't it? 100% pure.
But if it's been, say, topped up with tap water, it might not be quite so clear. There could be sort of little bits of sort of sediment or something in the bottle, or little bits floating around.
Okay, so, and the obviously the problem is you might be saving a few pennies, but you could ultimately end up in hospital.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is there's lots of duty that's not getting into the Treasury coffers, obviously. If people are buying illegal goods or fake goods, people aren't paying, the people who are selling it, they're not paying their taxes, the duty's not being paid, and as we said just now, that goes to fund our hospitals, our schools, our healthcare and everything like that.
And it increases the amount of tax we have to pay.
Well, we all have to pay, that's right, we all have to pay more, but actually from my personal point of view as well, I think of the health side of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it's no fun not just thinking I've got a terrible hangover because I've drunk too much, but finding actually you can't enjoy a drink for a long time after you've, effectively burned your stomach with some of this kind of stuff.
In worst case, I think it can blind in some cases as well.
I mean, saw a documentary once.
It cause some real serious illnesses and issues.
It's about not knowing it's about the risk of not knowing what's in it, that it can injure you. So it's, think about the price, think about the label, think about the brand name. Maybe it's a brand name that you've never heard of, but if it's for real, they'll probably have a website. So have a look on the internet, and it might be that somebody's got actually quite a good value. There are value for money products out there. You don't want to put the small trader out of business. Just want you to be careful and look after yourself.
Okay, there's something here you've got about the screw cap as well.
Yeah, well, if the cap's put on by a machine, it'll be on nice and tight. But if somebody's just sort of sat it on by hand, it'll perhaps be a bit turned round without undoing. They have like a security collar.
Yeah, and you hear it break, don't you, really?
Yeah.
You do,
Yeah, well, that's another, is it really real?
Okay.
Especially some of these setups are quite literally people working out of sort of garages and outhouses and things like that. So they're not professional setups in the way that you would expect a distillery to be. They're people working out of pretty grimy conditions with grimy equipment and not the sort of latest technology using to sort of...
No quality assurance checks at the end of the process.
That's it, isn't it? I mean, I was going to say, with that in mind, what you'll find on a genuine bottle of spirit is a lot code actually marked on the bottle, and that's there so that if something's wrong with a genuine bottle of spirits, they can use that lot code to contact the suppliers and recall all the whole batch. But if there's no lot code on the bottle, well, that means it hasn't gone, it hasn't followed the proper process, which would lead you to think that it might not be a genuine carefully prepared bottle of...
So there could be all sorts of foreign... Apart from the fact that it's not the genuine article, there could be all sorts of foreign objects in there as well.
Yeah, there could be. It's like you said, there's no quality control, so you don't know what you could get, although it might be sort of fake goods, might be perfectly safe and perfectly okay to drink. On the other hand, it might be a lethal concoction, and you just don't know.
I'm just sort of listening to you, and I know that the media talks a lot about sale of alcohol to younger people. And vodka in particular is one of the ones that young people will go for on the basis that you can't smell it, but it's the one that gives you the biggest hit. So I'm just thinking about how this message we can get this message across for younger people as well, because I'm just thinking of the health risks to them. I mean, they're not going to think about the HMRC reference custom element, but the safety element.
I mean, youngsters drinking, obviously we don't want to encourage youngsters to be drinking, but it's a fact of life. Young people do drink alcohol, and we want the young people to be safe, the same as everybody else who's drinking alcohol or whiskey or any other spirits. So it's important. The same things, but just really to have a look, see what they're buying, who are they buying it from. If it's somebody offering it to you out the back of a van or something, then be suspicious straight away. But even sometimes shops are selling. I'm not saying necessarily your big high store brands, but sometimes small local shops or other sources. If it doesn't feel right, if you usually buy that brand and you think it just looks a little bit different than the brand that you're used to, there's a helpline number. There's we've got the customs sort of confidential line number.
The customs hotline number. Yeah, it's actually a free phone number, that one.
Okay.
It's 0800 59 5000. It's 0800 595
Okay, thank you both very much for that, and let's hope that
That's all right.
some people have listened and have learnt something regarding the sale of cheap alcohol. To be honest, I thought it was only vodka that was affected by this, but clearly there's other spirits as well, isn't there?
There's other things.
Vodka's the one you see quite often, but yes, there are other. Also cigarettes as well.
I was going to say cigarettes, because if you want to go onto the website hmrc.gov.uk and look at the kind of things they found swept up into tobacco.
Not until you've had your tea.
As I say, it's National No Smoking Day on Wednesday the 9th. Perhaps
Well,
you could have.
if you want some encouragement to give up smoking, if you look at some of that information, that will give you the encouragement.
There's all sorts of drop-ins, isn't there?
Yes.
I've seen that one as well. I forgot all about it. But it might be worth having a discussion about the cigarettes the next time you come in. We can do that one.
We can do that next time.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're listening to the Community Link Crew on GFM 96.6. Tell your friend, tell a friend. 96.6 GFM.